you know, I think the only game that a couple games where we were bothered by size at Colorado, where we made some of their power forwards who are good players look like great players. And certainly, you know, we hung in there on the boards against Alabama, but did not rebound the ball late. And you could say that a couple of offensive rebounds late were major factors in costing us that opportunity. But in Texas A&M, we're now going to see a really big team and a really physical team, and a team that, I don't know what the percentages are, but 70% of their offense may be coming from inside of 15 feet. They really do a good job of getting it inside, posting up. They drive it in there pretty good, and they rebound it, you know, really, really well. Big guards, 6'5" point guards, 6'5", 6'6" wings, 6'7" power forward that plays above the rim, and a senior center that's you know, 6'9", 250. You know, it's just a real, and it's the reason why Texas A&M was able to hang in there with Kentucky. There are only a handful of teams that are built to be able to handle Kentucky's size. Texas A&M was one of them. You know, Ole Miss was one of them. It'd be interesting to see whether Georgia could be one of them, because they're Arkansas, LSU. Those would be 5 teams that I would say, because of their size. South Carolina did pretty well hanging in there with them. So it's a good team. It's too early in the season to start talking about coaches of the year, but if I would talk about 2 guys that are probably ahead of the curve right now with their teams, would be Billy Kennedy and Donnie Tyndall. And the only other thing about when you're playing Billy Kennedy, you're playing Billy Kennedy, who's a really good coach, and then Rick Stansbury is an assistant who's a really good coach, and I've gone up against both of them. And so they really do a nice job with their personnel. So it'll be a physical challenge for us.
What can you do to kind of make up for that size disadvantage?
Well, you can, if you can extend your defense and try to make a team play over 94 feet, that can make up for what you lack in size. Our challenge is, you know, while we're not very tall, we're also not very quick. And so we're a little quicker than some people because we're smaller than they are, but not necessarily quicker. So we do try to extend defensively and bother people with our pressure, but it's not unrelenting pressure. It's more of an annoyance and opportunistic. And then in the half court, the closer these teams get to the basket, the better they look. So if you let a team handle the ball close to the rim, if you let them get it in there easily, if you don't double them down when they get in there tight, and so that's what we've had to do. We've had to rotate down and double the ball to the post. And I'd say that post offense hasn't hurt us as much as second chance points, probably. But of course, inside shots lead to inside rebounds.
Bruce, Alabama beat up on them pretty good, I guess, in the first SEC game.
What's that now?
I said Alabama beat up on Texas A&M pretty good, I guess,
right,
in the first SEC game. What was it about that game that, because they won, what, 4 straight now, Texas A&M?
Right. I thought Alabama did a good job of guarding Texas A&M. Interestingly, Texas A&M and Alabama have some similarity to what they do offensively. And so I thought Alabama, knowing and probably guarding what Texas A&M does on a consistent basis, because some of the stuff is similar, they did a good job guarding them. And Alabama had the size inside to be able to, you know, offset some of Texas A&M's advantage in the post.
What does Trayvon need to do to improve as the season goes along?
You know, Trayvon has not improved as much in games as we would like, and as you know, as people sort of would expect. But he has improved a lot as far as his preparation, as far as his practice habits, his training, his work in the weight room, work on his diet, just his attention to being consistent on a schedule. We're going to have to be patient with Trayvon. Trayvon's going to have to be patient. He didn't come here to average 1 point and 2 rebounds or whatever it is. He came to try to play a more dominant role. He physically isn't ready for that as 7'2", 225. As a freshman, he didn't have that same off season that all of our guys had in the weight room, on the sleds, running stairs. He didn't have that, and it shows. And it shows. So I don't know how much more we're going to see from Trayvon as the season progresses. I hope we see signs, and I hope we also see both patience from Trey and our fans, our team. He's been a really good teammate, and he's got a really good personality. And I hope he just stays the course. I'm going to. I just hope he does.
As you said after the game the other night, with the balance of scoring and only getting 6 points without your top three, how do you look to address that going forward? Because even if those guys were to give you 60, you still need a lot more than 6 points from the rest of your team. So
right.
How are you going to try and get that basically
right.
from those guys?
I look at it two ways. One, you go on the road, you want to make sure that your best offensive players are getting the looks, and they certainly did. Antoine, KT, and Sim got the majority of the looks, and obviously carried the load scoring-wise. The other guys who don't play as dominant a role in the offense have pretty much consistently played better at home than they have on the road. We play best when everybody contributes. So when not everybody's contributing and we've gone on the road, that's been the case. We haven't won. So part of it, again, is experience. I think that Jordan and Malcolm are in brand new roles this year, playing major minutes for the first time in their college careers. Taj has got both shoulders harnessed and really hasn't been healthy all year, and sort of playing through that. So I think that KC, I think, could be as a senior, as a fifth-year senior, has got, I think they've all got more to give. Our point guard play Saturday night wasn't what it needs to be to be successful. They're going to be really challenged by Caruso, Texas A&M's point guard, on Saturday. But we do need better point guard play. So,
is there any thought to giving a Taj more work there at point guard?
At point, we've thought about it, and there are times we try to put him in situations where he's able to create a little bit. I don't think he's not producing as much offensively. If he had the ball, he probably would be producing a little bit more. But if he played point, then I have to play somebody else off the ball. And Casey and Malcolm are both not effective without the ball in their hands.
You give your evaluation of Caruso, obviously a longer point guard, a guy that can kind of dribble, drive, and shoot from distance. So.
Yeah, it reminds me kind of Patty Mills a little bit, a point guard at St. Mary's, maybe Matthew Dellavedova on a Calathis from Florida. Kind of a big point guard that sees over you. You put him in a ball screen situation, he can look right over the top. And he's an outstanding passer. Really does a good job of big boy when you're going downhill. He starts to drive, he puts you on that hip, and he'll run you right into the goalpost and score over you. Quick enough to keep you in front. Just really solid. He's I think is the glue. And then of course Jalen Jones and House, they have two transfers. Jones transferred from SMU and House transfers from Houston. And those two guys are 35% of their scoring. And really good offensive players. I tell you, the other guy is Roberson, their center. I told Sim, I said I think he'll be the best defensive center we've gone up against yet, because he can guard Sim on the perimeter and inside. I mean, Sim can still do what he does, but this will be a really good player that they're going to go up against. Because a lot of centers, they're either shot blockers or they can score. Or this guy can do a lot of things well, so it'll be a really good matchup inside.
Saying it seems like in the first half in Tuscaloosa, and it seemed like some other games, has trouble finishing at the rim for a while, and then at some point he gets going and he starts making those shots. Is there anything you can do to make that start happening earlier?
No, I'd like to see him start games better. I would agree that in the first 2 or 3 minutes of each game and half, his engine ain't running like I'd like it to early. But I think that's part of maybe warming up a little harder and getting himself ready to go. And it does take those competitive juices and that adrenaline to get flowing for him to be able to play with the kind of effort and bounce and energy he needs just to finish over the top of guys that are, 4 or 5 inches bigger than he is. So I don't know it's as much a first half, second half thing as it would look for I don't know how well he's played in the first 3 or 4 minutes of every half.
Kind of diagnosing that last inbounds at Alabama when Taj gets the ball and that guy doesn't get screened. Does he need to be closer to Sim or does Sim need to be further out?
They both needed to be closer to each other for that play to be effective.
And that would have cleared off, I guess Taj would have been against their center at that point.
Yeah, at about half court.
Right.
And that was, for me, coaches, God bless, I'll beat myself up and think about what I could have done differently. If I had the same set, and I liked the set, could I have gotten the ball to KT and let him come off that screen? The question you'd ask, would they top cover him? Could I get him open? I had no timeouts left, which was actually interesting because I actually did have a timeout left. I got charged with a timeout
For the challenge?
For the challenge, right. and they told me they gave it back to me, but the book didn't have it back. And at the time when they told me you're out of timeouts, I didn't challenge it because that's not where we were. We could have challenged it right then, but I thought I had it back. And then when I was told no timeouts, okay, there's no timeouts left. I had done enough debating on what was what. So without a timeout left, what went through my mind is, who's the quickest guy I got out there that I can get the ball to and can go by their man? And Taj, certainly, if we could have got him clear, and a good screen would have, and those guys being tighter together, would have got him clear, he would have had a chance to make a play.
First, obviously, the A&M game's first, but this is a week where you are going back to Tennessee on Saturday. When you are getting this close to that game and to going back there, just what are the emotions at this point?
No emotions at this point. More of worried about tickets and transportation and and things like that. We are going to have an event on Friday night in Knoxville. This is unfortunately very typical of me. My friends couldn't possibly get to see me the night before the game for free. I would need to charge them a fee and then donate the money to charity. And so we're going to have an event Friday night, part of the Bruce Pearl Family Foundation. When I left Knoxville, I left a couple charities that were counting on me and have counted on me and my family, and we continue to support them. One of them is a Camp Koinonia, and Camp Koinonia was out of the School of Education at UT. Phenomenal program, similar to Children's Harbor, but it's not a year-long program like Children's Harbor, which is for families. This is a camp for children with multiple challenges. UT students, about 300 of them, take a class in the second semester and then go to this camp for a week and give care full-time to children with these challenges. And it's a phenomenal week. I've gone up there every year, and we've raised money for them. Well, when you leave town and you no longer have a golf tournament or something like that, you can't write that check for $50,000 quite as easily. So we're going to do that on Friday night and with friends and family and do that Friday night. So that would be a little different, the night before a game. And then, but right now my focus on Texas A&M, and then we'll have to get ready for Tennessee from a standpoint of they're really different because of their zones and things that they do. We're probably going to have a press conference on Thursday beforehand. But right now there's really, it's all about Texas A&M, a little bit of planning for the trip on Friday, which we would normally do, but really no emotion. There'll be plenty of emotion the day of the game.
You guys good?
Thanks.
KT will be here in a minute.